started getting better about like listening to my body. I'm not saying I'm crazy by any means.
Hang on.
Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you'll please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all.
I get to
Our
help.
first item is to go to the approval of the consent agenda that had your 2025 APR, or annual performance report, in it. Our Navitas High School HVAC upgrades that we've discussed to the gym and back of the high school building, and the Nova Beaker Middle School long-range facility plan review for us to have some long-range facility planning and an evaluation of that building.
Move to accept.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Question?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining or need to recuse? Next, we'll approve our financials. November bills totaling $508,295.80, and the financial reports that back those figures as well.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Shepherd and seconded by Mrs. Staley. Is there any discussion or clarification that anyone hasn't gotten prior? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving along, we need to approve our minutes from our November 11th, 2025 board meeting. Open session, of course.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Carroll and seconded by Mr. Smith.
Question?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining?
I'll abstain because I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know whether the minutes are correct or not.
We will take an abstention then from Mr. Lenz from the last meeting because he was not present.
Take my
I'm
word
surprised you didn't, I'm sure you probably watched it though, because I know the way you're pretty studious. Next, we'll move to adopt the agenda for the remainder of the meeting. The only correction is under Spotlight, there will not be an A. We will just have one item under that.
Not being A?
There will not be an A.
Okay.
No question.
Oh,
So therefore, there really
So
won't be a
move, we
B.
adopt agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Carroll and seconded by Mr. Lenz to adopt the agenda with the notations as so moved. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Next, we will move to the Spotlight.
Yay.
So underneath the Spotlight, we have a unique opportunity and experience here. We've got a couple unique opportunities. We have Miss Linda Quinley joining us from MSBA this evening. It's too bad we don't have our financial books laying around so that she can take a peek at those before she leaves. So she is fantastic at the money aspect of MSBA. But she'd like to come and recognize one of our board members on behalf of MARE, the Missouri Association of Rural Educators, and MSBA, the Missouri State School Board Association. So, Ms. Quinley.
Thank you, President Jacobs. Good to see you as well.
We need to get you a microphone, man.
Do I need a microphone?
We're streaming, so.
Oh, well, good evening. Thank you all for having me. I am Linda Quinley with the Missouri School Boards Association, and our friends at the Missouri Association of Rural Ed wanted to be here tonight but could not. We believe, although we cannot prove, that you may have the oldest board member in the state of Missouri working actively on your Board of Education, and so we want to acknowledge that. We will challenge people once we maybe get this photo out on our website to let us know if you are exactly the oldest. But your commitment to this work has not gone unrecognized, and so on behalf of MSBA and Mayor, I want to read what this plaque says to you, sir, if I can. It says, presented to Jack Lenz, Marshall Public Schools Board of Education, in recognition of dedicated service, wise leadership, unwavering commitment to the students and community of Marshall, Missouri. Your selfless contributions exemplify the highest ideals of public service and education governance. With deep gratitude and admiration, Missouri School Boards Association, and the Missouri Association of Rural Education. You, sir, are a true gift.
Thank you.
Thank you. I tried to get my 84-year-old mother to come with me tonight, but she didn't want to get out.
I didn't either.
She needs to be inspired.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Quinley, for bringing those greetings from MSBA and on behalf of Mayor. So, next, we will, I did forget to add to our spotlight, but I'm sure no one will be upset that Mr. Pettit is going to have Miss Mary Ann Gilpin join us of the Marshall United Way. For the last few years, there has been a tradition where they've raised some money through the school district because teachers like to wear jeans. But we kind of have them pay a little penalty to do that, but we give it back to a good cause and remain that money back in our community with one of our non-for-profits. So I'll let Mr. Pettit talk about that.
Yeah, and we'll take a picture real quick if you don't mind as well, but just some statistics first. So this year, like we have in years past, we asked our teachers if they would like to wear comfy pants, jeans between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and if so, to please make a donation. So we asked them this year to consider two entities, one being the United Way. And we have from our teacher group wearing comfy jeans between the holidays now, $525 that we'll donate this year to the United Way. And then our high school, middle school, and elementary schools have done a food drive. And by I put my notes away and I don't remember it. By my calculations, they have collected in pounds, 6,000 pounds at last count in food that they'll donate to the local food pantry, and around $1,000 has also been collected to donate there. So it's something fun we like to do for Christmas, along with singing Christmas carols, but our carolers are off singing carols somewhere else tonight. So, Mrs. Gilpin? I like to get Mrs. Gilpin.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good to see you, thank you.
And now I will pause for a couple minutes to see if anyone here would like to give a public comment. Seeing most of the faces that I know are either on the agenda or just here to hear our wonderful minutes and meetings.
Because Laura says she's only going to go 6 minutes. She's-
And I'll let Ms. Jacoby start moving up towards the podium for our APR review report.
Okay, oh, can you hear me? Man, that's a hard act to follow, so congratulations, Mr. Lenz, that's amazing, and thank you for all the teachers and everybody that donated. So I am going to talk about something that maybe is not as fun, or maybe it is. This is our third year now that we've done this. I was joking, I guess it got passed along to Mr. Carroll that I said, I'm gonna be about 6 minutes tonight, that's it, it's gonna be really short. I don't know if you all remember, in 2022, the first year we did this, it was close to an hour. Yeah, you all remember. Yeah. It's not going to take that long tonight, I promise. We are now, that was when we started MSIP 6, and it was our first year, and we really just needed to understand what it was, and I needed to explain that. So now you're all experts, and so we're just going to report on that tonight. So as you can see here, I'm going to be presenting on our annual performance report. As with everything that we do, everything that I talk about or present to you is governed under our CSIP, and so that is our Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. And as you see up here, we're talking about student success and student achievement tonight. So every decision we make, every building plan that we create, all goes back to that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, maybe, if I get this thing turned on here, and I may need, I don't know, Wesley.
Power's on the side of it.
I've got it on. Just click it for me. Thanks. Okay, so what is MSIP? This took a while, the last several years that I presented on this, because it was having you understand what it is. It's our Missouri School Improvement Program, and so every school district in the state of Missouri has this. We are under MSIP 6 now, so we eventually will move into an MSIP 7 down the road. And so what that produces is an annual performance report. And so that's for every LEA in the state of Missouri, so that's every school district. And that's what I'm going to be speaking to tonight on our 2025. Go ahead, Wesley. So because we have 3 years of data now, and we have our 2022, we're our pilot, and we have that data, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the state's APR composite score. So that's first and foremost. So I'm going to show you what our 2025 score is, and then this is our composite score. Every school district in the state of Missouri has a composite score now that comprises of from when MSIP started until the most recent data. So something to celebrate for us. If you look here, this is our 2025 MSIP 6 annual performance report. And our composite score, so Marshall Public Schools was at 78.7%. If you look up here, and this slide is taken from the State Board of Education. They had that meeting actually this morning in Jefferson City, so these slides are taken directly from that. And so in 2025, if you look, all LEAs in the state of Missouri, that's school districts from Blue Springs to Liberty to St. Louis to Milan to down to the lake, every school district in the state of Missouri, their average score was 78.6. So Marshall's actually above the state average on the APR composite scores. So that is something to really celebrate. Slightly above the average, but hey, we'll take it. So, you know, every day we have factors and we can only control what's here and what, you know, we have so many hours with these kids, and I just think that's awesome. I'm just so proud of everybody, and so I think that's something definitely to celebrate tonight, and that includes the last 3 years of data from 23, 24, and then 25. So that's the composite scores. That makes sense? Okay. Okay. So now it's working, or was that you? Oh, okay. Well, just kidding. I'll just put this down. So if you look, I wanted to show you from our pilot year for when we kicked this off to where we are currently. So our composite score and our just our 2025 score are pretty close. They're 0.2 percentage points away. So we started in 2022 at 68.1%. We have now moved to 78.5%. We had a 1% dip in our growth performance from last year, which I'll talk about a little bit about what that means. You remember, I don't know if you remember me discussing that. It's an ebb and flow type of thing, and you never know what you're going to get hit with there. So that was a little slight difference. But we are, from the last, when this kicked off, we are an increase of 10.4%. So that's amazing. We have, you know, we're still seeing growth, and I'll get into a little bit more on the next slide. If you would go ahead and change, Wesley, for that. Okay, so if you look, I have 2022 over here on the left, I have 2025 over on the right. This is what took so long for us to talk about over the last several years, why it took almost an hour, because you were trying to figure out what each part meant. So the top part in the performance, and if you look here, we're looking at the MPI points. So we've increased on our MAP performance index in all of those areas over the last several years. So all of our MPI points are growing, so that's great. We're growing kids, we're improving, that's amazing. If you look specifically to here on the social studies, so I want to give the high school and our government EOC some kudos tonight. They actually moved from their designation, because we have different tiers of where we are approaching. Here you're at your target. They've actually moved, if you look here, that they're on track. And that's great. So I wanted to give some kudos to them tonight. And so in the other areas we're approaching, and what that means is we're still approaching into that next tier. We're still increasing all of our MPI points, but we're working into that next tier, basically, is what that means. And so then if you look down below, this is where the growth measures come in, and this is where basically there's a statistical analysis that the University of Missouri Columbia, there's a system that they put all this data into, and they look at Z-scores, and they look at all these things, and they say, we think your district should grow by this much from this year to this year, basically is what it is. And so districts really don't know what their growth points are going to be until it's out. We can pull all the reports, we can project and say, yeah, this is where we're going to land. We don't know. It's a controversial item. I'm actually very blessed and feel very, very blessed that I was asked to serve on the MSIP 6 advisory council for the state of Missouri. So I'm on that with DESE, and I'm on that with district leaders from around the state of Missouri. And it's a hot topic, growth is. It's a topic at every single meeting because districts are like, well, hold on a second. I grew in my MPI points. Why are you hurting me on my growth points? Because we grew from last year. They're like, well, did you grow enough? And so that's where it's kind of a little bit tricky. So that's where that 1% that I talked about, that difference is, which isn't necessarily a lot to be concerned about. We had a lot of snow days last year. We had a lot of PD days. I mean, it's just, you can bounce around why or whatever. But overall, we are increased in our MPI points and went up. So that's a positive and that's a celebration. So if you look down here, when we started in 2022, if you can see, we were, below average and average. In our CCR assessments, we were on the floor, no points. That's our ASVAB, that's our AccuPlacer, that's our ACT, that's our work keys. We didn't have enough data basically in 2022, enough points to even get us any points. If you look down here in our CCR assessments, we're earning 50% of the points. So that's a building improvement plan item that the high school, the counselors and the high school administration are awesome. They've been working with me on getting those scores up, okay? So those are our college and career readiness scores. So we've improved. So they're hard targets to hit. The state has very high expectations, and so they're working on some of those items. And if you look, we were at the floor and we've improved here. Our graduation rate, we've also improved, if you see on that as well. Our graduate follow-up, we're still earning 100% of the points there. So this little area in the growth is kind of each year, it's like, and sometimes it's almost like if you grow a lot this year before, which we did last year, then you might kind of do this and that's where it's kind of, you don't know. I was actually at a state meeting in this fall and they had the professor in from Mizzou and he was trying to speak to that. But it's kind of a tricky thing because you don't know it till it comes out. So this next part, I have 2022 and 2025 here. These are the continuous improvement totals. So you'll see here that our improvement plan, 100% of the points, our response to standards, on our climate and culture survey, those are all part of, we're in the round 2 for our CSIP review. So Mr. Pettit and I have been working on that this fall with our DUSI area supervisor. And those are all the items that we have to respond to. And we produce artifacts and evidence and items of those things that this is what we're doing. These are our action steps. This is our plan. And so we're receiving 100% of the points there. Our KEA, that's our kindergarten entry assessment, we give the KOF, which is the DESE one. We're receiving 100% of our points there. Those are what our kindergarten students take within the first 4 weeks of school. Our ICAP, we've actually increased on our ICAP. We were only earning 75% of the points in 2022. We are now earning 100% of the points. Our attendance, we actually, so we were only earning 75% of the points there. Last year, we had a little bit of a slight dip. I don't know if you all remember that in our attendance. We did increase by a point there to the next tier, so we're earning 75% of the points in our attendance. So, that's something that we're still working on every day. And of course, that goes hand in hand with academics. If the kids aren't here, they can't learn. So that's obviously something that, we continue to work on. Our CTE expansion, that was our 2 points there from our nursing program. And then, of course, our audit, we earn 100% of the points, our ASBR, and then our core data. Ashley Christie does a great job with that and always gets that done and on time, and it's wonderful. So those are also components of our 2025 APR. Question, anything? Okay. Wesley? Okay, so this is also part of our APR, and it's just kind of a yes or no, you're doing this or you're not doing this. So, but it is produced within the report, which was also in your drive, and it's just, do we meet the minimum threshold for fund balances? Yes. Is Mr. Pettit appropriately certified? Yes. Are you all doing your required training and orientation? Yes. And are we compliant with federal and state law? Yes. So these all go into all of the considerations for accreditation, which obviously we are accredited. So any questions on any of that before I go into the next part? Okay. I did this last year, and you guys kind of liked this. It's nice to see. So you're like, well, what does that mean? I showed you the state of Missouri. So I just did a quick comparison. I only had so much room on here, but if you're ever curious about what a school district's APR points are, this is all pulled from a DESE portal. It's the MCDS portal. It's all public access. Everything is lifted. Nothing is embargoed anymore. So you can look at this at any time. I just put some of our conference schools and some of our surrounding K-12 school district. Actually, one of those is not a K-12 school district. I was thinking they were, but they're not. But some of the K-8 school districts, they don't have all of the measures that we have. So all of that stuff that you looked at that goes into our report, our CCR assessments that we're taking a hit with, some of that stuff, they don't have those because they end at 8th grade. And so that's why sometimes it's nice to compare with our K through 12 with our high schools, because that are surrounding. And so if you look, Marshall's very comparable to a lot of our conference schools, outperforming a lot of them too. So even though we saw that little slight dip in our growth metrics from the year before, we're still above the state average a little bit on our composite APR school, and we're still doing very well. So I'm super proud of all of the people. We're going to still dig our heels in and keep working and keep at it. So. And if you need help on accessing any of that, let me know. I can help you. You can get on the MCDS portal and pull anybody's up, and you can pull anybody's composite score up as well. So in short, I don't know if I have hit my 6 minutes or if I went over.
You're way over already.
I knew it. I tried. So we've had a 10.4 increase from 2022. So that's something to celebrate. We're above the state level for our composite APR score. So again, that was from the last 3. The 3 is the composite. That's the difference there. We've improved on all of our MPI points from 2022. I talked about that growth metric from 2024. That'll ebb and flow. And that's kind of where you're like, and sometimes when you have a lot of growth one year, you may not the next year. And so sometimes things stall out. So that's something that we're still looking at and taking into consideration. We know attendance in school matters. We raised our attendance a little bit more, so hopefully, we can continue that. Something that I did want to celebrate, I did not tell them I was doing this tonight, but when we were digging into all of the data and we were looking at everything, I wanted to congratulate our 7th grade, which is actually our current 8th grade class this year, and teachers Larry Welch and Stephanie Lundy. They actually scored their grade level in math, scored above the state level. That is really hard to do, and that doesn't happen here very often. I meant to ask Mr. Reed before I left work today, and I forgot and got busy about how long it had been since we had had a grade level do that, because he and I used to kind of look at that data together whenever we were on the math team, department together. But I just wanted to congratulate them. That was on a year we piloted a new program too. We were piloting our new program. And they did not the year prior score above the state average. So they had a tremendous amount of growth. So if you see any of that current 8th grade class, or you see those 2 teachers, give them a pat on the back. I didn't even tell them I was going to put them on here tonight, but I thought that was really, really awesome and something to celebrate. And then everything else on here is just everything that's in our CSET that we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue those, those tier 1 audits to make sure that we're implementing things with fidelity. That's important, the fidelity piece. Continuing looking at our assessments, always striving to get better, looking at our tier 2 time, because every day we can do something better than the day before. And I know we talked a lot about numbers, and unfortunately that's what our APR is. But when you look at the heart of it, we got great people and great kids in this school, and I just thank them if they're listening tonight for everything they do, because it takes a team and it takes everybody. So just really appreciate it. So lots of things to celebrate for sure. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for me? Thank you guys very much.
I almost feel like you think you're disappointed when we don't have questions, but your reports are always
I'm good.
thorough. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
So, and 26 minutes from you goes very fast. We appreciate it. We'll next move on to Mr. Pettit and his report for the evening. Mr. Rinke is not able to be with us tonight, so there is not a report from him, but he did leave us some homework to do a little bit of improving, which we did earlier on our contracts for review of the middle school.
Yeah, before I put that report up here, I want to take a second to first I want to thank Laura for all the work that she does. It's no accident that when you see growth and progress, and I've been kind of hung up on this feeling that I've had since we cut that ribbon at the new school this year, but how this has really become this working family that I'm really proud to be a part of. Laura does a phenomenal job when it comes to curriculum. Something that used to be kind of my wheelhouse, and I feel like I'm almost losing touch because I don't have to worry about it, which is an odd feeling, but I enjoy that she lets me slow her down on occasion to understand what she's got going on. She does a really great job, so thank you, Laura. I appreciate you too. I also want to tell a story about Jack. In his words, I want to tell a cute little story if I could really quickly. Jack, I don't know how long it's been now, Jack, but if you don't, I hope you don't mind me telling the story because I'm going to. It's too late. But he had called me. I missed a call from him, and I don't believe I called him back until early the next morning. Jack has breakfast about 5:30 in the morning usually, and so I think I called around 6:30, maybe 7. And he said, well, why didn't you call me yesterday? I fell and I'm in the hospital. I'm getting ready to have surgery today. And I thought, oh my goodness. So first I felt terrible. I didn't call him back until the next morning. And then in this kind of divine timing of things, I had been talking to MSBA and Linda Quinley, who joined us here tonight. Oh gosh, I think Linda hosted a training down in Columbia probably back in early September. And at least that long ago, and maybe through the summer, I'd been working on trying to find out if Jack was in fact the oldest active board member in the state of Missouri. And so between MSBA and Mayor, this conversation had been going on, and Melissa Randall, Ms. Quinley's colleague, contacted me by email. The morning after I spoke to Jack, I got to my office, and the email was sitting there. It was one of the top ones in my inbox to say, hey, we feel pretty good at MSBA to say that we can't say otherwise. It's not really a question we ask, and some people don't want you to say old when you're talking about them. But Jack's always had a pretty great sense of humor, and most people half his age don't play, a round of golf every single day. So he's kind of a local legend to us. So anyway, I just thought it was really neat how all that worked out. It was like it was meant to be. And he's only missed one board meeting, and here he is with his brand new hip. So we are really proud of you, Jack. And your son, one of your sons and daughter-in-laws are with us tonight. At the end of open session, I hope that we can bother you to stand up and maybe get your family in the picture. I'd really like to have one, and we have a couple additional plaques. So thank you for serving. And you got board packet and filing opens tomorrow. Just mention that. See if you want to. Thank you again.
Thank you, Caleb.
All right, I only have 40 or 50 slides tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Laura presents and we give her a hard time every year, but our CSIP really has been something that we've focused on being a living document that guides us. And I learned at some point in time in my 20 or so years in education that a teacher can be doing a phenomenal job, like Laura was saying, but if the kids aren't there and they aren't listening and they aren't engaged, and today in education, I feel like we're measuring the learning, not just the great teaching. And I appreciate the way she was speaking to that. And the CSIP is guiding us to make sure that we're focusing on not just the teaching, but the learning that's going on. And I'm just really proud of all the progress. So it may not be exciting, but if it isn't measured, it will not improve. And we are measuring everything with a lot of hard work. So that said, Mr. Wesley, I do not have the clicker. And it may not work anyway. Let's see.
It's probably user error. It's probably me.
I'm going to stay here where you can hear me in the microphone because I'm a little tall for that one. But I'm going to move pretty quickly, and in keeping with the norm, I'm going to jump all over the place. I like to keep Harry entertained. So December, if you can believe that, we have the audit, which is part of our CSIP, and I believe also statute that will be required to approve that tonight. You've had that draft, and I'm excited to say that this is the best audit we've had since I've been working with you, and there's been a few things that we just have grinded at, and we finally have felt like we have some success. The one finding that still remains a bit beyond our control is what our food service balances are. Those are federal dollars, and there's guidelines on how you spend it. We have no problem spending money, but when you tie our hands on how, we're just doing the best we can and doing so responsibly. And I do believe we'll get that spent down, and I've said after we verify with certainty that it would work. If we can't do so by the end of this fiscal year, we'll look at our food prices. That surplus in funds started with COVID, state reimbursements being over district costs. And we've upgraded a lot of things, but we're still a little high. So we're continuing to work on that, and if we don't fix it with a few final expenditures planned for this year, we'll look at our lunch prices and maybe make people really happy with an adjustment there. Maybe. We'll see. And stop me anytime. I'm going to jump into a little bit of financial update as well as construction update, and it's going to be part 1 of 2 when you see that up there, if I forget to mention it. I like to do this quarterly, but there's details I'm waiting on when we look at our January revenues. Those are pretty important month of revenues for the year. I really want to see where we are once those come in for kind of a halfway mark to then project to the end of the year. And that's going to tell me a lot of things I can't quite see yet, and I don't want to speculate incorrectly. But what we're looking at here is an updated, as of December, what is our student population. And that current, compared to last year, we are down overall about 50 students. That does play into your financial outlook because that's where your reimbursement levels come from. So that'll play into it a little bit, but the way that it's been such interesting legislative sessions the last few years, that may be really truly the least of our considerations when we look at part 2 in another month or so. Why are we down? I'll just speak to that in case the hundreds of people watching at home tonight, which hopefully they're at ball games instead, but why are we down? We're graduating larger classes than we're starting in our younger grades. Our high school has a pretty large, actually grown population since COVID-19. We're bigger than we were before, which means our K-8 schools are sending to us, but our smallest grades continue to be small year after year, smaller than they historically were. So let the jumping around begin to some extent. I'm going to speak to the deficit first. This is really where I'm saying I'm giving you part of the financial update this quarter, but there's so many pieces I'm looking forward to seeing in January. We have new state funding formula going on now. I'm not going to see that in January, but that is going on. I anticipate that we'll have spending cuts on the docket for our discussion. You might recall we rolled back our levy that we just passed in '23 by almost 50%. Yes, we have current, local taxes and things are on the rise, but there's a lot of things going on. We are continuing to utilize attrition. We've been doing this for the last 4 years. 2 central office positions that we will use attrition to not fill. A career center position we will use attrition to not fill. And then we have the interest from our CDs. I think a really good move for us right now is, rather than looking at a lease purchase, our reserves are above what we set for our minimum goal. We're still around 30% for our reserves, and our goal is to not drop below 20, a long ways from where we were in 22, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think we can responsibly avoid a lease purchase. It's time to update buses, which we do historically about every 5 years. I'm going to float the idea that one of our CDs, when they come due, we go ahead and liquidate it and use that to buy the buses so that we incur no interest. Our interest rates and our returns are starting to drop to a point that, if we were getting 8% for it to sit in the bank, I'd say let's pay 4% on a lease purchase, but that's not, it's about the opposite of that. So some things like that, we've been really trying to be smart in how we invest those things. And if you do recall, we put about $3 million into those CDs, and the interest that we've earned on those, just one alone has earned around $20,000 in the last 3 years in a different interest rate environment than we now have, but they've done well. Jumping over to our construction, and it's been the great contradiction here for the last year, but the construction proceeds that we passed have nothing to do with the regular operating funds. We still have some of those construction funds remaining. Part of our remaining goals with construction now after the new school was the bus barn, wanting to build an additional one out at the new Northeast campus. Some recent discoveries here, I think we can save some money and avoid actually building another structure. The former dietary building that we've been converting into, it was going to be primarily storage in our new distribution building. We almost have all the pricing on just some reinforcements with the floor. We really think that garage storage space would be a very nice bus barn and avoid lots of spending on other things. Adding HVAC, reinforcing the floor, making doors a bit larger on Building D, and I'm going to show you a graphic of that here in a minute, would make that the bus barn, and we would be done, saving a lot of money. That might, and that again is part 2 of this update. We'll see where we are in about 1 to 2 months, but we believe that we'll be able to add that high school vestibule and BMS vestibule within what is left with the construction funds, which goes back to the safety and security aspects that we were hoping to accomplish. So I'll bring that final pricing. So far, these changes have been discussed, and anything that's changed from our original plan has been accomplished through our savings. There were contingencies and allowances built into the contract, which was approved by the board. And we've been operating at right around $1 million under what they anticipated. So some of these finishes are things we've already agreed to spend it. We just haven't had to for the tunnels and things. We did have a lot of fun surprises with tunnels out there building that school, but we're really past all those variables now. Any questions about that before I get into some more of the details on the bus barn? Okay. I know that is going to be hard to see. However, bear with me, and especially if you're at home, I'm going to try to speak to the graphic on the left first. That is the building site at the Northeast campus. The large green square in the bottom left-hand corner, that is the location of MIS. Its physical address is Building B, 700 East, everything out there is 700 East Slater. That's Building B. The large X in the top left, that is where the smokestack was, as the community knew it, that the city owns that property right there still, and it's outlined in a red square that you can't hardly see here anyway. At home, they're probably seeing it pretty well. Building D is the maintenance building, which is outlined in kind of an orange square. And Building E is what I'm talking about being the future bus barn. It has a really large portion of that building still standing. On the left side, it's in kind of a purplish blue, and on the right in red. The right-hand side of that building is what we're talking about making the bus barn. And where I wrote the big letter E, that's the addition, which they just finished the siding on today, tying it in and matching it to MIS. So all these buildings are starting to tie in and look like they were meant to look alike a little bit. So that wasn't the case at first, so that's good. The bus lots in the bottom right-hand corner, that's where the buses will end up being parked. And then the right-hand graphic, this is the breakdown of what this space is going to look like. Again, the left-hand side being shipping, receiving, distribution, and the right-hand side, the bus barn. Those office spaces then will be where all the bus drivers, maintenance people, and people working in that area, shipping and receiving, all can come together for meetings, trainings, etc. Going to jump back and forth between these graphics. Amy. So here's real world pictures. That's looking at Building E, and that's the siding that just was finished up today where they built on the new office space. So again, Building E, right-hand side, that's where it really is. That truck is sitting in the future bus parking lot. Off to the left of the gray siding of that new addition, you can see the white maintenance building that was reskinned with all new metal, so it looks greatly improved from what it was before. And so hopefully that helps make sense of all of that. And then next week, Tuesday, I've spoken to our esteemed mayor, Craig Thompson, head of transportation today. It's pretty convenient to have him so close. And I was just telling him, I said, I'm going to come talk to city council next week if you don't mind. And he just told me to keep it positive and he wouldn't show up here and talk to us. So we're going to go talk to Craig and the city council, and it is a positive. When we started the whole land exchange for that 123-acre campus and the inner loop and so many things that have been done and gone through out there, it seems like a million years worth of work, but it wasn't that long ago. But the big X on that left-hand graphic where the smokestack was, we as a school district had some hesitation when they gave us the rest of that acreage, whatever, 123, I think. We didn't want that portion because we didn't know what was there. And it was part of the agreement. The city would tear that down and retain ownership of that. You see my long purple line that you probably wondered about earlier. What I'm showing there is that we do still live on a peninsula out there with around 1,000 students in 2 schools. The way in is the way out, and we're concerned about our buses sometimes needing to leave in the middle of car ride or traffic. So we're going to ask them if they would either A, give us an easement for extreme situations where a bus could get out and around through there, and B, our other ask would be that they have the entire foundation remaining out there for that building. It's pretty unsightly across from this brand new school. And you can see the tire tracks. That was somebody doing something they were not supposed to do. They shouldn't be driving over the curb. That was how they accessed the area. We'd like to fence it off and gate it and be able to make the whole campus secure. So we're gonna ask for the other option. If we can't have a permanent easement, just quit claim deed it to us and we'll take care of cleaning up the rest of the site. We have the equipment to do that now. So that's what I'll speak to them about, and I'm also going to speak to them about just a thank you. We've had a pretty great relationship with the city in accomplishing what we needed to accomplish and removing some liabilities and concerns for them. And I just want to wrap it up with this site right here is going to be what I talk to them about. That's a lot of pictures. Any questions or clarifications for anyone? All right, then I'm going to jump around a little more and wrap it up. Substitute teacher pay. Our policy on substitute teacher pay in Marshall is somewhat vague, and I believe that's probably by design so that every time you adjust pay, which has multiple layers, you don't have to update the policy. So it speaks kind of generically about how we reimburse pay our substitute teachers. Our daily rate, what we would like to do is we'd like to enter this into our employee manual and our substitute teacher manual and ask the board to approve it. We would like to just put it somewhere officially, and that seems like a better place to say our daily rate is $115, and for our retired teachers who come back and substitute teach for the district, it's $130. That's what it has been. It's what it currently is. We just want to get that in the manual so it's stated somewhere and more clearly understood. And then long-term sub pay, there have been some misunderstandings about that. At the end of this semester, all current long-term subs that aren't permanently hired to be in that role, I'm talking about someone's on maternity leave, for an example, and so I've been in your classroom for 6 weeks, and all of those folks are finishing up their roles at Christmas break, and at the first of the year, we would like to just clarify in our employee manual that our long-term sub pay rate is $160 after 10 consecutive days. So this is someone who's going to be picking up grading, entering grades, lesson planning, et cetera. It's been a bit confusing, and practices have at times been inconsistent as a result. So if that is something the board doesn't disagree with, I would like to put that in the consent agenda and have it take effect in January. Any questions about that? You might note I underlined we may need to increase. I think that we do, but that'll be a discussion when we get to that in the spring. I always enjoy raising substitute teacher pay, and then everyone around you will raise their substitute teacher pay and kind of null and void what you did, but I think it's time to be competitive, more competitive again. If there's no other questions, I'll stop talking. We'll move on. Thank you all.
I was going to have you highlight the walk-in clinic underneath the old business as well before you finish for the evening.
Yeah, with regard to the walk-in clinic idea, something that I really wanted for several years now, and as you know, we've had 2 MOUs brought before us now. There's been some discussion since last meeting about other potential interest to compete for our business in that way. It's something I really want to provide for our staff, that we could have ideally an on-site walk-in clinic for them. We have had some developments, and I say this with my full support of Fitzgibbon Hospital. There's been some things going on with in terms of their financial status, and I'm kind of just pausing for a little while. I want to make a good choice for Marshall Public Schools, but I also want to be mindful of our other businesses and not do anything that could be detrimental there. I think that it requires more discussions and probably some roundtable talks with these people who are interested in providing us the services. I still haven't surveyed our staff yet either, because at this point I want to make sure I'm not really hurting a business that at a time it needs support and not the opposite. So expect more, but I'll probably take that off of old business and table it for a few months more than I expected. Though I want it for our employees, I don't want to Marshall without a hospital. So I think we better take a little time.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. Moving down to new business to round us out for the evening. The first thing is a motion to approve our 2025 audit that was given to us with the resounding news that we still have too much money in our food service program. That does not mean we are not getting food money. That does not have anything to do with lunches. That has to do with federal government money, not money coming from people paying for their students for lunches. So just want to be clear about that because that comes up from sometimes and people get a little confused about it. So I need a motion to approve the audit as presented to you in your packets and reviewed.
Also move.
Second.
It was a good audit.
It's been moved by Mr. Carroll and seconded by Mr. Shepherd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining? Need to recuse tonight, Jack? Going with that? All right. Next, a motion to approve the 2025 APR report, which was given to us by Mrs. Jacoby. And of course, you had a longer version in your packet, I think about 60-some pages worth.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we want to note that she was 8 minutes over time on that or not?
Yeah, I wrote that down. I went ahead and rounded it up to 9.
Love you, Laura.
This is what happens when your old teachers are now still grading your work. So the financial update that was given to us as well by Mr. Pettit, which was more about the bus barn and just talking about how we ran into some good fortune, of course, building our new building. We had a lot of contingency money built in. We did not have to get into that money. It allowed us to move forward on some other projects, reskinning and moving over to some of the projects on the backside that he was showing us, as well as still having some money left over in our safety security side to kind of look at some other projects for making some more secure vegetables at our now oldest two buildings in the district, really. So,
So moved.
Second.
this was not a voting point, but it was just a motion, just a conversation point. And then, of course, the bus barn information that he gave you in a new business, because there will be more conversation to come about that. And we will be moving maybe to spend some money in the future, so hold on to it, Brad, it's coming. So. And just to note, those of you that know anything about school finance, Linda Quinley started nodding when he said 30% reserves, because that is a great number for us here in Marshall. Having 30% of your reserve balance sitting around means that you can make it about a third of the year on the money that you have if nothing else comes in the door. And a lot of places aren't sitting in that position right now. So that is something to definitely be happy about. So with no other business before this board this evening, we are looking to move to closed session. We will talk about hiring, firing, disciplining particular employees, preparation of negotiations with employee groups, and individual identifiable employee records. If I can have a motion. It is moved by Mr. Carroll,
Thanks.
seconded by Mrs. Staley.
Aye.
Aye.
On the side?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move to closed session.